Fans waited 7 years for Bethesda's next game in the Fallout series, and in November of 2015, that follow-up was finally released. And now that we've had a couple years to enjoy it, we insatiable fans have but one question on our minds. So where's Fallout 5? Hi, I'm Jacob with the Leaderboard, and today we're going to take a look at the rumors, hopes, and dreams surrounding the unannounced yet inevitable Fallout 5. And before we get started, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to become part of our notification squad. First, let's acknowledge that the next Fallout may not be Fallout 5. Though fans waited 7 years between Fallout 3 and 4, they were hit with a pretty delicious appetizer that was pretty much a full meal in its own right. We're of course talking about Obsidian Entertainment's spin-off title, Fallout New Vegas, which came out just 2 years after Fallout 3. There's a large number of Fallout fans that are looking forward to a New Vegas 2 more than Fallout 5. Some fans prefer Obsidian's take on the franchise, which falls in line more with the classic titles in the series, especially Fallout 2. And it makes sense since many members of the Obsidian team worked on 2. Unfortunately for these fans, an Obsidian Reddit AMA in November of 2016 revealed that Obsidian was not developing any Fallout game of any kind, let alone a newer New Vegas. Obsidian went on to add that if given the chance, they would absolutely love to revisit the world of Fallout and develop a future title if Bethesda asked them to. Other fans of New Vegas remain pessimistic even if Obsidian returns to the series. Why? Because of the departure of a key Obsidian employee, New Vegas lead designer and co-writer Chris Avallone. Chris also served as the lead designer on the original Fallout 3 that was cancelled before Bethesda bought the franchise. In spite of this harsh reality, many Obsidian fans still believe that the developers' no was a joke or a surprise being saved for E3, but the announcement never came. In fact, in April of 2017, Bethesda was confirmed to be the team behind the next new Fallout title, which likely means it will be Fallout 5. However, later in October of 2017, fans were met with something more surprising, a sign of Chris Avallone's potential return to the Fallout franchise. Chris posted a picture to Facebook of an overjoyed stick figure, presumably himself, hugging Vault Boy with the caption, "I've missed you so much." While nothing has been announced yet, it could be a hint towards his involvement in Fallout 5 or a potential spin-off. There's also evidence that suggests Bethesda's thirst for remasters hasn't quite been quenched yet by the numerous Skyrim repackagings over the last few years. A little fun fact, Fallout 3 was never released in Germany. It was blacklisted outright by the country. But in 2017, Bethesda won a legal battle so big that the publisher claimed that such an outcome was typically difficult and rarely successful. They were essentially able to prove to the German government that they were overzealous 10 years ago and that Fallout 3 did not contain material that was harmful to minors. So why exactly would Bethesda go through so much trouble to get a 10-year-old game unbanned from just one country? Theorists suggest that Bethesda is preparing to ship a remaster of Fallout 3 for current generation consoles, and releasing it in a territory that has never played it before would serve as a big financial gain for the company. We doubt that they went through that much trouble so they could ship German gamers unsold Xbox 360 and PS3 copies that were probably collecting dust in the same warehouse that the Ark of the Covenant's being held in. And I'll bet you anything they're also keeping the Elder Scrolls 6 and my Morrowind remaster in that warehouse too. Better quality, longer wait. Let's just preface this next set of rumors with this statement. The modern Fallout games are great. The massive environments, the immersive story, the in-depth character customization, Ron Perlman's buttery voice, they all make for an experience unlike any other. However, even brilliant games have flaws, and the Fallout games are no exception. One of the biggest criticisms Bethesda's received for their games, many of them not just Fallout, is that they aren't the best looking in the business, nor do they run all that well, even on the almighty PC. This is largely because Bethesda's been building their games using the Creation Engine, the same engine that they've been using since 2002's Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. According to job postings listed in 2017 for Bethesda's Montreal studio, new engine programmers were being sought out in order to develop cutting-edge technologies. If the rumors that followed are true, Bethesda is currently developing an engine so advanced that no current game console or affordable gaming PC can run it, meaning it will be a long while before we can return to the wastelands of Fallout. Judging by the patterns of console cycles, as well as Bethesda's release pattern of the Fallout series, you know, the 5-year gap between Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4, one can guess that we won't see Fallout 5 until at least 2020. It could be even longer if we take into account what some of the studio heads have said. Bethesda Vice President Pete Hines stated that Bethesda doesn't want to be a two-button vending machine studio, meaning they want to offer gamers more than just the Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Bethesda game director and executive producer Todd Howard added to this by stating that the company is currently working on games that aren't sequels and that are bigger and more different than anything the studio has ever done. Regardless, Bethesda has a track record of rewarding fans for their patience with games that are well worth the wait, and by the sound of it, the more time that's spent on Fallout 5, the bigger and better it will become. Your new playground. Fallout's taken place in several post-apocalyptic versions of real-life cities, from Washington, D.C. to Las Vegas to Boston, so naturally everybody's wondering which famous pile of rubble will be our new playground. One of the most requested ideas is none other than New York City. It may appear to be an obvious choice given how many games feature and take inspiration from it, but there is a deeper reason behind it. The city is iconic, and though we've seen it destroyed in almost every conceivable way in Hollywood blockbusters, it would be a unique experience to see a destroyed New York City resettled and somewhat revitalized by the denizens of the Fallout world. Maybe you'd have to take back Times Square from a crime syndicate run by super mutants like it was in the 70s. You know, minus the mutants part. There weren't any mutants in the 70s. That I know of. Maybe Central Park is a sacred sanctuary inhabited by zealots of the Children of Adam. Maybe the remnants of the Empire State Building have been occupied by the Brotherhood of Steel, who knows? The rumors also suggest that Fallout 5 might be so massive that it could include more than just New York City. It would include the entire East Coast Commonwealth. This consists of Pennsylvania, Delaware, West Virginia, and New York's favorite evil twin, New Jersey. And I mean, New Jersey would be super easy. You can just plop in current-day New Jersey and nobody would be able to tell the difference. Jokes aside, it makes sense that Fallout 5 would explore this territory since fans of Fallout's lore are well aware that it's been talked about a lot if you know where to look. However, there are a few clues that suggest Bethesda isn't quite taking the obvious route and is instead going for something a bit more low-key and unique for their next entry in the franchise. Fallout's explored the East Coast and the West Coast, but it's never really touched the southern United States, and thanks to a patent claimed by Bethesda, that might be all about to change. Many fans have found that Bethesda has the name Fallout New Orleans filed under the European Intellectual Property Office. Based on the name, it's possible that this could be the sequel or spiritual successor to New Vegas that fans have been praying for. Either way, it'll be interesting to experience a Fallout game in an environment we've never seen before, like the Deep South. Mainly because the prospect of radioactive alligators is too badass of an idea to never explore, and if they do it, it would be a disservice to players everywhere to ignore. The New Digs. Like any good sequel, fans expect Fallout 5 to have the features we grew so fond of in the previous versions while expanding upon them and providing us with new toys that we didn't even know we wanted. Let's start with smaller fixes. Fallout 4's dialogue system received a lot of criticism. It often provided vague prompts that caused the player to accidentally say things they didn't intend. In fact, it was such an issue that entire mods were created dedicating to enhancing the dialogue choices and making them more specific, which, full disclosure, I installed immediately after getting the game. Todd Howard even admitted that 4's dialogue system didn't quite work out the way the team intended and explained that he was thinking about dialogue improvements for the long term, so it's very likely we'll see a revamped dialogue system implemented into Fallout 5. Now, moving on to modes. Unless your name is Wolfenstein, it seems like every game franchise now has a multiplayer mode tacked onto it when most don't really need one. Just ask any of the developers working for EA. While Fallout was one of the few franchises that remained planted in a strictly single-player experience, evidence suggests that it may be evolving into something more multiplayer-oriented, or at least something with a multiplayer mode tacked on. Bethesda recently pushed Elder Scrolls into the multiplayer realm with the MMO Elder Scrolls Online. In the past, Fallout nearly took the same path when the franchise was owned by Interplay, who commissioned a Fallout MMO to be created only for the project to be swiftly killed off once Bethesda got the rights to the franchise. There's quite a bit of murmur that if multiplayer is in fact coming to the Fallout franchise, it may be coming to Fallout 5 as an additional mode, similar to the case of id Software's Doom reboot, which was also published by Bethesda. For those of you that don't know, the tacked on and debatably unnecessary multiplayer component for Doom was courtesy of a small Bethesda studio known as Battlecry Studios. Their namesake comes from a free-to-play multiplayer game centered on combat that was slated for release in 2015 until Bethesda pulled the plug and turned them into a multiplayer-focused studio tasked with supporting developers on bigger titles. It's been said that Battlecry is being utilized for Bethesda's projects other than Doom, so fans have speculated and worried that one of these projects is a multiplayer suite for Fallout 5. What kind of multiplayer would the sequel offer? Only time, or possibly leaks, will tell. Multiplayer won't be the only trendy feature Bethesda might implement into Fallout 5, though. At E3 2017, Bethesda announced that Fallout 4 and Skyrim would be getting the virtual reality treatment, and since the publisher is so keen on incorporating VR into its older games, it seems more than logical that they would implement it into their future titles from the get-go. An advantage to starting the project with VR in mind is that they can do a better job of designing it into the game, and more specifically, into the DNA of the mechanics themselves, so the experience is more than just playing it through a TV screen attached to your beautiful face. It could be something truly immersive, an experience that makes you feel like you're wandering the wasteland, being chased by a Deathclaw. Or, if you're me, 3 Deathclaws, a Mirelurk King, and a Super Mutant Master. I've hidden in my fair share of Pulaski preservation shelters as a result. The final rumor is more of a good news, bad news type scenario. Good news is, thanks to the success of Fallout 4's revolutionary feature to bridge the gap between PC and console and allow mod support for Xbox One, it's a safe bet that mod support of this caliber will indeed return. Bad news is, this this likely means that Bethesda's controversial Creation Club will rear its ugly head and plague players in Fallout 5. For those not in the know, the Creation Club is a program in which players are charged for downloading mods, which on PC have traditionally always been free downloads since they weren't regulated by Bethesda. But you know how the modern gaming industry is, once they find a way to make more money, there's no reason to go back to the simpler days. Regardless, this would hopefully be but a scratch on what should otherwise be yet another stellar experience from Bethesda. Once again, I'm Jacob, and thanks for watching Rumors, Hopes, and Dreams for Fallout 5. Did we miss a rumor? What feature do you hope makes it into the next game? How disappointed are you that the new Mission Impossible movie has nothing to do with the Fallout series? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of our notification squad, and if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.